this life's all about. Threw my virtues to the ground, drinking from the devil's cup. Take that pill, drink it down, flashing lights all around. High as hell, drunk like I finally don't give a fuck. 'Cause I'm breaking all the rules tonight. Not going down without a fight. As long as I'm still breathing, doesn't matter how hard you might try. We can take this freedom. Waking up, I'm a mess, sleeping on the bathroom floor. Last night's a blur, don't know for sure, but I'm ready for another round. You're talking shit, don't hear a sound. Take a hit and pass around. High as hell, drunk like if I
Oh, hey guys, this is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now this is our weekly live stream where we talk about what's new in the app world, what's new in apps, what's new with, stuff. We have a quick chit chat about what's going on. So first let me say hello to, last week we had like loads of technical difficulties and I figured out what it was. At least if it's working today, I figured out what it was because I rebooted my computer and then I had this Google Drive thing which was trying to resync drives or something right after rebooting. So I've killed that now. So hopefully there's no buffering this week and hopefully everything is good. So Mega Man, you're first today. Hey, how's it going? Hi, how's it going? Parash Bot is back. Azimuth's here. Hey, Azimuth, how's it going? We've got Chord Funk. Hey, yo, Chord Funk. Rahul Singh, hey, how's it going? Live for Tech, or is it Live for Tech? Now, do I ask that every week? CH Development, how's it going? And Parash, 3 of my Android's apps got suspended. Developer account is still intact. Ooh, now there's some news. So Parash, what happened? Which did they give you any reasons for it? I haven't had any. I mean, I think over the course of I've had 4 apps suspended over the course of my developer career, and I haven't had any recent. I mean, I'm at the point now where I really need to get. I've been working on client stuff all week, and it's just been a very, very busy week, and I need to get onto my own apps. I still need to make them 64-bit compatible for Google Play, and I thought that because I compiled my Corona apps recently, they would probably be fine, but Corona doesn't support 64-bit, so that's kind of an issue. And that's what I've been doing this week. I've been doing a lot of quotes and proposals, and there's one more that I should have got done by today and I haven't. So I've been doing a lot of quotes and proposals, but I've also been working on a Corona app for a client. So I've been just dusting off the old Lua skills and getting on with that. So it's just been busy week. Rahul Singh, hi. Okay, hi. What do you think of app builders like App Hive, Modular, Appy Builder, the AppyPie? Have heard of suspension problems. Are there by using them, or do you recommend I should publish apps using them? I think, I think that app builders, and I give this a lot of thought. I talk about how I don't like app builders mainly because the ones that I talked to in the beginning, because I did think about, because a lot of them have reseller accounts, and I thought about doing that for our clients. So let's just get like something like AppyPie or Good Barber or one of the other resellers. And I know there's a whole bunch more now with the WYSIWYG editor, drag and drop. So let's go with one of them, and then we could give our clients, like we do a lot cheaper for the clients, or we can just give them the interface or give them the reseller. They can update it themselves. We don't have to build the CMS. We don't have to build the admin site. We don't have to build any of that stuff. We could just customize it and give it to them. Now, the problem I had with a lot of them that I talked to was that you couldn't get the Keystore file from them on the Android side. So like, let's say the app really took off and they want to do something that the builder can't do, then you're kind of screwed, right? You have to move either migrate your audience, which is going to be easier said than done, or just abandon it. So, and I know that I've did a video about this once before where I talked about this is the reason I didn't like app builders, and a lot of people who do run app builders came up and said, no, we give you the Keystore file. I guess they, and the way that I imagine that it runs, because I tried to do our own app builder at one point. We called it Project Viaduct. It was really cool, but we got to the point where I thought, God, it's going to be so much more work just to get all the different things, and then we just got so bogged down in client work. But you could either do it like if you compile all your apps with the same Keystore file, then you can't give that Keystore file to anybody else. And I think probably some app builders probably do that in their build process. They probably don't generate a new Keystore for every single application. They probably reuse some of them. I reuse some of them in some of my apps too. It'd be interesting to find out if any of you guys do. So sometimes I'll reuse the same Keystore files in different apps. And yeah, I always hope that I won't get, like, there won't be some policy thing come through Google Play saying no, that each app has to have a unique Keystore file. So even with like pro and free versions, I wonder if that would be the case. So, but that was my big problem with app builders. However, a big plus of app builders is that you can go to market and test out the market very, very quickly. I mean, this is one of the things when clients come to me with an app idea, and it can be very expensive for us to do it, just to do it from scratch. And if it's something that's simple, like text-based, then I'll say you might want to try one of these app builders, because then at least before you invest all this money in it, you could test the market. But it only works if you can get that Keystore file back. If you can, because if you test the market and hey, it really takes off, this idea really works, and you're not afraid of somebody stealing your idea, then at that point, then you're good. You're perfectly fine. Like, you could test the market, pay whatever, $20 a month, and then go out there. But if it does really take off and you can't get the Keystore back, then you're locked to that platform, right? And that's what I don't like about it. And I think it's the same with, actually, I was going to say it's the same with a lot of the frameworks, like the hybrid frameworks, but it's not, because you can take that code. You even like hybrid frameworks like Ionic. Ionic has a build service, which is relatively new. Well, the last couple of years, I say new, but they don't force you to use it, right? And Corona has the build service, and I guess you have to use Corona to build. It does build offline, but they're making the enterprise version offline, and a lot of the other tools, you have that flexibility to move on. But that's one of the problems I have with app builders. And now I've never heard of them being rejected because they were built from app builders. However, there was a thing when 4.3, when they were cracking down on 4.3, or was it guideline 4.6 on the App Store, they were talking about anything wizard generated. And what they were really going after was lots of apps that look exactly the same. Like, if you don't customize it enough, it'll look exactly the same as others, and you keep releasing them all to the same account. So that could be an issue there, Rahul. Antonio Ruff, hey Eric, how are you? I'm good, thank you. I was wondering, can you review my app paw dates on the App Store? Absolutely. So paw dates. Okay, how are we going to do the App Store? Let's do this really quick. I'm going to share my screen here in a second. Put this down here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So paw dates, and this one is for Antonio. So find friends for your pet. So it's like playmates, like play dates, paw dates. So you go through here and you do not registered. So you got your, and then you go through and add your screenshots. So you've got good reviews. That's cool. When did you release it? Let's see. I always get confused when I look at this one. So you got the premium plan, $2.99. Cool. Is that a subscription? So, I mean, the one thing, and this is to see what you can get away with on the App Store, because they're always changing the rules, and you have to go through a reviewer, and you could go through like the most uptight reviewer ever, or you can get someone who let things go. But I would think, like, here you've got the order of the screenshots goes from splash screen to registration screen, and I'm sure the registration screen is not going to be the most tantalizing part of the application. And then we've got the sign up with nothing filled in. And then we've got the dog pics here. Now I would imagine if you're going to do some screenshots, to have something with some really fun pictures of the dogs here to show, and then just have something. You're showing the onboarding process in the screenshots. And what you could be doing is having just a little bit of copy there on other stuff. So let's have a look at this on Google Play. Sorry, App Annie. App Annie. You guys can see my screen, right? Okay. So, Antonio, we're going to look at this on... I just want to look at the ASO score. So a lot of times I'll go straight to App Annie's because I want to look at the ASO score and see what the competition is, what it's ranking for, stuff like that. So, okay, here we go. These screenshots look a lot better. Hang on a second. Why am I only seeing that on? And because I'm not doing it through the App Store. So, oh, here we go. Yeah, okay. So this isn't bad. I mean, what I would do, rearrange the screenshots on this. Yeah, I would say rearrange the screenshots so you could do that. And even maybe if you have something like, again, it depends on what they'll allow you to do. If you have something with the dog in the background, and maybe, and you're gonna go find some stock images of two dogs playing, or a dog running through a park, and then you got the phone in the foreground, something like that might be something worth doing. I mean, if you could get it into the screenshot and just something above it saying, you've got friends, your pet needs friends, or something like that. But let's see. Sorry, tangent. Let's go back to the ASO stuff. So your first version came out in March, so actually it's not too bad. 17 ratings in that short amount of time. That sounds good. Let's go to the ASO report here and see what you're actually ranking for in terms of keywords. Pet community, number 29, find new pets. So let's see, pet playdate. I'm going to type in pet friends. Dog friends. Just trying to think of things that I would search for if I was... So dog friends ranking 236 out of 250. So, and again, this is all App Store stuff. So, I mean, App Store should be a little bit easier than Google Play. But let's go back to... So you got paw dates, find friends for your pet. So you got friends for pet. See that? Because the rest of these aren't, pets and friends are not on there. And it's loading. So anyway, Antonio, I think it looks like a really cool idea. I just think that the screenshots could be a little bit more, jump out at you. But I mean, again, you get the first version out there. It's difficult because if you change your screenshot and to change your title, you have to go through and release a new build, which a lot of times we'll release new builds without changing anything. Like we'll just change a version number, upload a new build just to change the screenshots, just to change the title a little bit. Okay, find friends for your pet, it's number 2. I mean, if somebody types that exact phrase in, oh, 2 out of 2. So, okay, cool. So let's go back to... So anyway, everybody else have anything to say to Antonio there? Just go ahead and put it in the comments. Let's see. Johnny, hey, how's it going? John Mollahan. John, I got your email earlier today. Sorry, I haven't responded to it yet, but I will. Adam Majors here. Adam Majors here. Johnny Hinosa. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Shivam Chaudhry, I am new to programming. Should I go for Flutter or native Android? Shivam, I know you've been here before, haven't you? I would say again, we talk about it's. I think I would go for Flutter. I would go for Flutter just because there's going to be fewer developers doing it. And I mean, if you're going for a job, the job market for Android is going to be very, very full. But it's also going to be more jobs because companies don't know the benefits of Flutter yet. But you know, and you can do cross-platform. I mean, that's the benefit of Flutter is a cross-platformness of it. So, but if you only plan on releasing something to the Android, to the to Google Play, to the Android, sorry, the Android store. If you're only planning on ever doing Android, then yeah, maybe you should just go native Android programming. And I would say, if it was any of the other framework, like if it was Ionic or React Native, I would say, what if, like one of the concerns I have is like, what if in the future something changes on Android and then it breaks all my existing applications, which is unlikely, but you know, it could happen because they're not together. But with Flutter, Google has Flutter. Now it doesn't mean that Flutter won't stop working on the iOS App Store, but there's no reason to think that. But I mean, it could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it could happen. I'm spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which I get accused of a lot. Let's see. Parash Bhat says, yes, it was good because it was the last app I launched violated the Google's minimum functionality policy. Wow, you got the minimum functionality policy. That is actually, I've never heard of that. Anybody getting suspended for that? I have on iOS. I mean, where they'll just say it's not enough there to actually be an app. It's more for marketing purposes. But I haven't heard that on Google Play. Wow, that's scary. PollockDooby says, what's the most common reason for apps getting suspended? I haven't bought my first developer account. So I think the most common reason that I've heard of is copyright infringement. All right, that's the biggest one. So, and a lot of the developers who contacted me says that their account was suspended because they released something that infringed on the copyright of something else. I released one of the ones that I got suspended. It wasn't copyright infringement, but I'd purchased, this is like the only time I've ever purchased code and just reskinned it. So I thought app reskinning, a lot of people were doing it, and I thought I had a designer who he had nothing to do. So I thought, okay, I'll get him to reskin this app, and he did it. Everything looked completely different. We took it was a Swingcopters, which was big at the time. So I bought a Swingcopters code clone, and he went and changed it to Spy theme because I thought it would go with the Ear Agent, Ear Spy, all the other spy apps that we have. And I released it, and like 12 hours later, it was suspended. It was removed because it was copying the other one, even though I thought we had changed it enough. And ever since then, I haven't done any reskin, unless I'm reskinning some of my own stuff. So I'm sure that they had people out there checking for this kind of stuff, even though I purchased the code, right? So, but yeah, it scared me straight, man. So Simple says, thank you for your work. I want to know where I could buy a backlink for my app. Buying backlinks, I actually have bought backlinks before. I went on Fiverr. I think I was watching a course by Gabriel Mascheret, who was really big in ASO a few years ago, like really big in the App Store marketing. And I don't know if he's still doing that now, but he seemed to be angry all the time. But he was like one of the big names in it. And I was watching the Udemy course of his, and he said to go, I think it was his, and he would say go onto Fiverr, and then you could go onto Fiverr and purchase backlinks. So I did it that way, and I don't know if they ever worked. But now we have a lot of backlinks from our own sites, and we have an ASO guy, but we haven't done backlinks on any of ours. Of our own stuff. So I mean, in terms of purchasing backlinks, I've never purchased, except for the Fiverr. The $5 I spent, I haven't actually purchased backlinks. So I'm afraid I'm not too much help there. Parash says, okay, I'm already so far behind again. I have seen developers having 5 apps suspended with their dev account still intact. Although I plan on creating a new dev account for future releases. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to think about this whole. I've always said, like in my head, I don't want to have multiple developer accounts. It seems kind of dodgy, right? I've known people who have multiple developer accounts and they have multiple bank accounts and it just seemed too much like a like a fraud type of thing. Like it just seemed like not legitimate. But then you think all these people with multiple credit cards or multiple banks or whatever who are really good in finance, you know, they know how to, you know, manage their risk. And I thought maybe that is the case, especially on the Apple side, because I think that one of the reasons why my apps were suspended, or not suspended, started to get rejected with 4.3 guidelines was because I had too many of them, and a lot of them were very similar to each other, or they had the same underlying code base, so they started rejecting them, which I thought was unfair, because if I only had one or two, they would have been fine with it. It wasn't the content, it was the quantity that they didn't like, which I thought was, you know, I thought that was unfair, because my users would only know one app. I mean, one or two apps, you know, depending on whatever they downloaded. Chord Funk, yo Eric, do you use any design tools? I've been playing with Figma this week. Figma? It's pretty dope. It's a dope. I haven't heard anybody say dope in a long time. That's not a criticism. Let's say Figma. Let's have a look at this. I'll share my screen. Figma, collaborative interface design tool. So I have been doing some interface design this week. Oh, this is cool. So we use Adobe XD, which is expensive, and also I find it difficult to use. My designer was mentioning something to me. What was it? I was demoing something a couple weeks ago. I can't remember what it is, but there seems to be a lot of these. Oh, this is kind of cool. There seems to be a lot of these interface design tools out there now, right? And I still use whatever 15-year-old nasty Balsamic. Let me show you. Oh, actually, let me show you my Balsamic. Let me just not show my screen because I don't want to show if a client thing comes up. Let me show you my Balsamic here. If it opens. So I still use Balsamic, because one of the problems I have with these tools is they charge per project rather than per time period. So I'll use Balsamic for a lot of things, and I'll go through and I should remove that, and I'll just go in and create the layout, and just, you know, and it never looks that great, but it's just, if I was going to go through and do, but it's also one of the nice things about wireframes, which actually looks like a wireframe, it doesn't look polished, is that at this point you're not arguing, you're discussing the functionality and the flow rather than the font, right? I hate putting out something and then the first thing they say is, oh, I don't know if I like that font, right? It's like, it could do everything. It could do, like, the whole application is there. We just need to go through and fine tune a little bit. And yeah, I don't know if I like that font. And you just want to smack them. But yeah, I still use Balsamic, which is, I guess it makes me old, right? I guess there's so many other tools out there. It's really hard to keep up with all of them. Let's see. It's all in the browser. Yeah, I think I can't remember what the other one I was looking at, but I know that I signed up for a trial, and they've been chasing me ever since to do that. Let's see. Mega Man, do you put your source code, your key stores in source control? I do, yeah, but I don't put them. You shouldn't put them in the in a location where they'll get compiled within the app. I had a problem where a few years ago where Google Play started contacting me saying the key store was actually compiled in the assets of the app, and it was so I had to go through and recompile them, move the key store out. So my Git repositories, and you know, depending on how, you know, the guru of software development or guru of source control may object to this, but I always have like a few folders. I'll have like the main source code. I'll have any scripts that I need to run. So sometimes, like if I want to switch things or have some sort of continuous integration, I might write some Node.js scripts, and I'll put those in another folder so they don't get compiled into the application. And I'll do one for documents, and then I'll do one for key stores, so that I have the key stores in that file, in that folder too. And that way, when I just check things in, they just always get updated that way. Although most of the time, I'm just working in the core source code file. But yeah, that's, I mean, I do that. Otherwise, There's nothing, well, I'm sure there are things worse than losing your Keystore file. However, losing your Keystore file is bad. We had that happen on, I think, our third or fourth application. It was a team in India. They were working on it, and they released this, and I thought, this time I'm going to go all in. And it was an app called Time Goal. It never did really well, but I thought this time I'm going to go in. I'm going to spend some money on advertising. I'm going to get the backlinks. I'm going to go, you know. So I knew the URL of Google Play because we knew what the package name was. So I went through and I got everything ready. I had all these links pointing back to it. All these tweets went out, and like the first couple weeks I just was like crazy trying to promote this application, and then we needed to make an update, and then they lost the Keystore file. So all those links were no longer relevant. All the ads were no longer pointing. You know, it was like, I was so angry with that. I was angry with them for losing it, because luckily I could blame them, but it could have easily happened to me, right? It was like, that's one of the nice things about hiring other people. If something goes wrong, it's like, oh, at least it wasn't my fault this time, right? But which sounds bad. Sounds bad, but sometimes it's just. But you know, it could easily happen to me, and ever since then, I always make sure we get this we get it checked into source code control, so we don't ever lose that Keystore file. And I know they've got the new Google Play way of doing it, which came out years ago, and I still haven't used it. Like Google Play Manager Keystore file, but I don't, and I think it's mainly because I don't know how that will work if I decide to go to Amazon or Huawei or Samsung or one of the other app stores. So Johnny Hinojosa says, should I drop out of college and make my own apps? College is too easy and too bored. I don't know if you should drop out of college. Is it university? Over here, college and university are two different things. But when I grew up in the States, and college is university. And I would say try it on the side first, right? See if it works out. If it takes off, then yeah. I mean, if you don't need to go to college, then don't. But I don't know what the job market's like. I don't know what the job market's going to be like in the next couple of years. You know, like right now, like if I hire somebody, the college degree is something I don't care about at all, right? Because I don't have one, I think. Because I don't have like I have a college degree, but I don't have a computer science degree. So my degree is in history. So I just think if somebody has a degree, it kind of just shows that they could stick with things. But I also think that somebody who doesn't have a degree and produces like a whole bunch, and they know their way around code, and they've been able to have a bit of experience, that's far more beneficial than a college degree. However, you know, if you're competing with other developers, and that's the person doing the hiring, that's important to them, then at least you have that. It's like I have a Scrum Master certification just in case. It never really comes in handy, but I have it just in case. I have the Microsoft. Well, I did have the Microsoft Certified Solution Developer qualification, and the reason I got it was not because I thought I'm going to be so much smarter when I have this. It was I could put it on my CV, help me get a job, help me give that one little bit there. It's like it's all so inside baseball. It's like you're doing it because people like it having there, not because it benefits anything. So I hope you guys can still see me. Are we buffering? Let's see. Adnan Issa Haroon. I'm gonna keep talking as if you guys can see me, but it seems to be buffering on my side. Adnan says, "Hi, Mr. Eric." Eric's fine. Hi, Mr. Eric. What's your opinion of the future of app development market? I've said this before, and I think where a lot of people would say, like a couple years ago especially, people would say the app market is dead. And I don't think that is true, but I do think it's going to change. I think, and I see the parallels between the early days of the web, where everybody went crazy and everybody became a tech guru, and all this finance was flowing into the tech markets, and nobody was making a profit, but there was all this fundraising, and then eventually everything just exploded. The bubble burst, and then people were saying, "That's it, the web is dead." it didn't work out or whatever. But it was like, it's a tool. It's a tool just like any others. And that was like 2003. That was before Facebook, before Twitter, before most of the stuff that we use now. And people weren't buying online at the time, but eventually they would. And when you talk about doing a website now, you don't talk about it like, I'm going to do a website because it's going to get me rich, because that's how you get rich, right? Because we see it for what it is. We see it as a tool. But for some reason, a lot of people still see the app market as being that vehicle to get rich. And it's still just a tool, right? You're selling a product just like anything else. And so the way that I see it is the same way that the web went, where when you had a bunch of people who were trying to release their big .com sites, and they were spending ridiculous amounts for domain names, and hiring loads of developers, and getting all kinds of funding to produce this big website, and in the end never made a profit and went out of business. But then the web was also used a lot for internal. It's a tool. So like a lot of the stuff that I worked on in the early 2000s was internal web applications. So like finance applications and HR systems and things like that, and appraisal systems and that kind of stuff. I think it was where the apps are going to go. I've seen this myself, right? It's a tool just like any other. It's like, and when we get a client call up, I'm very wary of, like, one of the things I want to know is it something like are we thinking of this like a product, or are we thinking about this as something that people get rich making apps? Because we all know how difficult that is. We know how difficult it is to get people to download your apps, let alone spend money on it. But if you could produce a utility you can produce a tool, then it's going to work. So I think the future of the app development market is going to be just fine. It's still going to be a skill that people are going to need, but a lot of people are going to flood in. A lot of people have flooded in because they want to get rich doing it, but they're going to flood back out again, and then there's going to be people who just they just build the applications. Let's see. How about Firebase? I still like Firebase. I think Firebase is really good. One of the videos I'm going to do upcoming. Again, let me tell you guys, I don't know if there's going to be a video for tomorrow. I have not done a video for tomorrow yet. I'm just racking my brain trying to think of something. I've been so busy this week. So tomorrow might be a day that I miss, and I hate missing a day. But I was going to talk about SQL versus NoSQL. But I think Firebase is, especially as a development tool, it allows you to get started immediately. It allows you to put something out there and start, and not have to worry about provisioning a server. It's free until you start really hitting lots of downloads and lots of traffic, and then you have to start paying for it. But then you should hopefully be monetized by then anyway, so that you could get something coming through, right? It's always funny when we talk to somebody and we talk about scalability, and they don't have any users at all, but you start thinking, what are we gonna? Can we take 1,000 users a second? Can we take 1,000 hits a second? Can we take 2,000 hits a second? It's like, hey, you know what? That if we have that problem, we'll deal with that problem. But at the moment, we just want to have, we want to have something out there. We're not going to architect a whole system that does everything. So that's one of the nice things that Firebase does. You can scale it up very, very easily. So let's see. Let me just make sure I'm not buffering over here. Okay. Let's see. Wi-Fi blocker. Hey, how's it going? Says Google now offering looking after Keystores, and you just use upload one, and you can regenerate in console if you forget it. Actually, that's pretty good. If you regenerate it, can you still use that same Keystore in Amazon? I mean, it's something I should know this. I should have tried it out. And I think every time you go to try it out, it comes up with something like the wording of the alert makes it sound like you might have to do it to all your apps after that. And I think that was one of the things I thought, oh, I don't want to do that. I just want to try it on this one. And in the end, I didn't do it. But so let's see. Antonio Ruff. Okay, Antonio. So you released your app about 3 months ago. So I'm way behind on the questions here. Let's see. Sim PLE. Is it Simpi? Sim PLE says, "Hi, this is my first game by BuildBox from scratch. Can you give your opinion, please?" Yeah, put the let us know what the name is. Bizwajit, hey, how's it going? Bart Raka, happy Friday to you too. Let's see. King Low. What's up, Eric? What's up, King Low? What's up? That doesn't sound really natural when I do it. I try. I try to increase my street cred. What's up, King Low? Shivam says, thank you for answering my question. Oh, no problem. Shamsula Darman says, my AdMob interstitial ad CTR is 14% in one app. How can I save my account from suspension? Well, if it's 14%, if it's 14%, and again, it's hard to know what the click-through rate should be, right? People always ask me, what's a safe click-through rate? It's like, you don't have any control over that. You just have to make sure that you're showing your ads that they're not popping up like in the middle of it, like they're clicking around on stuff and it just pops up automatically, so they accidentally click it. You have to make sure it's in between transitions. Make sure you're doing everything right, because you don't know what the click-through rate should be. If you have a click-through rate for like a new let's say a new trailer for the Star Wars movie coming out this year, as it comes out, and they decide to use an interstitial ad to advertise it. That one's going to have a lot of click-throughs, right? It's just a lot of people are going to be like, "Ooh," they're going to go straight through to it, right? And you don't know what that click-through rate should be, but Google will know, because it'll be across the board. Every time they show that ad, the click-through rate is really high, right? So they're going to know on all these different apps that you don't have control over what that click-through rate on that ad is. So I'm sure if it varies from that, then it's going to be kind of like, hey, what's going on over here? Is it showing at the wrong time? Is it self-clicking? Is it popping up? So then they could investigate that kind of stuff. So I hope that answers the question. Let's see. Sir John Lukic says, by the way, guys, I've created a free iOS app screenshot template for Photoshop. Oh, this will make your life easy. appscreenshottemplate.com. Let's have a look at that. appscreenshottemplate.com. Share my screen. Here we go. Oh, cool. Let's see, free to use. Nice. So it just has, cool. So it has all the different, I see. It's got all the different wireframes and stuff. Awesome. So for those of you guys who have not yet done your screenshots, that's something to check out. Okay, I've had so much trouble with screenshots in the past where I've got in trouble I got it rejected from iOS because it showed an Android device, right? To me, they look exactly the same, but oh, that one has a round button and that was a square button. Whatever, right? Yeah, but I've gotten in trouble for that. Sometimes it's if I showed an iPhone in an iPad screenshot, that kind of stuff, and it's just like, it seems so, come on, let's see. Shamsula says, I hope you answer me. Okay, yeah. Cool. And we see some examples on the blog. So one more time, let's look at blog. That's also Code UK. Cool. Show my screen again. And again, here's some examples. Oh, so you got it for iOS. See, these are cool. This is like I'm talking about paw dates, which we looked at earlier for San Antonio, I think. This is something you could do where you could have have it in a device. Now, just having it in a device on its own doesn't really help, but like if you had something where you had that in the foreground, maybe a leash in the background, or a park in the background or something like that. So you think when you would actually use that, and you have the potential to have the text above it saying what it does, because people are going to read the screenshots quicker than they're going to read the description. So the more information you can have on the screenshots, the better, and to get instant access to distance. So I think these are really nice screenshots on here. So anyway, so that's that resource is there. It's at where was it? It is at appscreenshotstemplate.com. ChordFunk says Figma is great because you can model components and creates text and color themes. Yeah, one of the problems I have with Balsamiq, and probably because it's such an old tool, is it doesn't have a lot for mobile, right? Like if I'm just putting buttons on a form, that's fine. But if I want to have a list and I want to have like an example, a card view, like a cards in a list view, that would be something that would be really great to do. But in order to do that, I have to go through and put the rounded rectangle, put put all the different components on there, and then copy that over and over and over again. And Balsamiq is really starting to show its age. Let's see. Shivam says, how do you get clients in the beginning of your career? I was terrible about getting clients at the beginning of my career. So the first thing I did was like what a lot of people do is I created a website and I created business cards, and then I hoped somebody would phone me, and nobody did. I think I got a couple of phone calls, and I handled them both terribly. So a lot of it was I would take time, like I'd be working a contract, and then I would leave the contract, and I want to focus on Overpass, do this stuff. So I would work on my own applications. I'm talking about web apps, which I never actually finished, and I would do that while I waited for the phone to ring, which it didn't. And I knew I had to cold call. I knew I had to go out there and bring in the business, but I did not. And not necessarily cold call, but I had to go out there and do something. And it wasn't until, but I would write the blog and stuff like that. So occasionally I'd get some people would find stuff. But it was as after I released the app, so I started focusing more on apps. And I think it was apps, especially like in 2012, 2013, it was more niche than it is now because lots of app developers out there. And we're doing a lot of local SEO. So the people who were contacting me were not necessarily from all around the world. They were from a couple towns over. Or they were looking for app developer in Oxford, app developer in Oxfordshire, that kind of stuff. So then they would find me and they would contact me, and then do the same stuff where you try to sound like, yeah, we do this kind of stuff all the time. And then you go into the meetings and you discuss stuff with them. And the nice thing about being a software developer is that, well, at least for me, I get like flustered on the business side of stuff. Not so much. It's more like you go in there thinking, they're gonna know that I've never sent an invoice before, or they're gonna know that I've never had a client meeting before. They're gonna know this, but in the end, they don't care about that. They just want to know that you know the technology and that you know that you should do. So the more you know about helping them achieve what they want to achieve, the better. From my point of view, when I used to work in investment banks, sometimes we would meet with vendors, like they sold software, and the person would come in would be a salesperson, like maybe a developer or a technical person would come in too, but most of the time it was a salesperson. Salesperson did all the talking, and me as the lead technical person there, I had a few questions. He couldn't answer any of them, right? And that used to always bother me. So one of the nice things about being a developer and going into those kind of meetings is that you know the technology, right? You know the technology. You just have to get better at the people skills, if that's a problem for you, and it was for me. So I had to get better at the people skills, get better at get better at being able to talk, get better at that kind of stuff. I'm getting all flustered as I'm saying it now, but I always think it's easier to be really technical and acquire some soft skills than it is to have really good at soft skills and then get technical. This is the way I always thought of it. You just got to get out there and do it, and it's having soft skills is something you're kind of supposed to have anyway, even though we may neglect it sometimes. But that's what I think, Shivam. So if that answers your question, let's see, Shurjan. Sujin, I hope I'm not pronouncing your name wrong each time. That is why you need to use some kind of link service like Bitly. Then you can change the endpoint if that happens. Okay, yeah, the stuff. So let's see. Where was I? Christopher Onugbo. Every week I get it wrong. Don't drop out unless you have an app with real financial traction. Yeah, actually that's true. Don't quit. yeah, it could take a while to get the hang of app stores and what people want. That's true. I mean, nobody should be quitting their job unless they have an app that's actually producing something, right? Like, even if it's not like I left a contract. My apps were not enough to support me, but I had a bit of client stuff to do also, and I thought I could, if we really scrimped and saved, we could probably get through on just this app income. But then it's that way the client work, it gets me motivated to do the client work. But before that, it was a lot of just keep doing it on the side, because you could take bigger risks if it's not your main source of income. Cord Funk says, "Yo Eric, do you use some sort of framework to manage the shared code between projects?" No. No, like what kind of framework? No, I don't. We just have them in Git. I think Git is all we really use. I am terrible, and I know I shouldn't tell you this. I'm terrible about just copying the same libraries from one to another, and I know I shouldn't do that. I have used in the past I did have one where I had a local Git, like it was for some Ionic applications, and I had a local Git, like a plugin locally on Git, so that way I could just include it there, and then I had like 2 projects, and they had the same shared library, so I'd had 3 projects, and in the end it just got complicated. It got complicated trying to go through and compile this one, compile that one, and everything. So in the end, you make sure that if I work on project A, it doesn't, and then I make the change to the component, it doesn't break project B. So in the end, I just fudged it and copied it over. Which again, the real hardcore alpha developers out there will think, Eric, come on, Eric, please don't do that. But I do. Like there's so many things in software which you can see the reason for them, but when they get in the way, like getters and setters on properties. Getters and setters on properties are important, but sometimes you just go for that. Sometimes you just go for that global variable, or the publicly exposed, the public variable on a class, right? Sometimes it's just easier to do that, or you just go have a getter and a setter on every property, regardless of whether or not no one ever needs to set it, right? So. Sometimes I can get lazy, and when it comes to sharing libraries, I have to admit that sometimes when it's me, I kind of do fudge it. Now, if it's my developers, I might say something. But Harish Devayangam says, SaaS apps using Spring Boot and Google SQL migrating later into Oracle, or SaaS apps using Node.js and MongoDB. Now, I think I like, so SaaS apps using Spring Boot. So I don't know what Spring Boot is. I know Node.js, and for me, it could be the bubble that I'm in. But I think that more people use Node.js. Right? So if you have to find developers in the future, you're going to be able to find it. If you have a problem, you're going to find a solution for it. Somebody on Stack Overflow may have that problem on that, but you have something like Spring Boot. If it's a smaller developer community, then you have to worry about being the first one to have a bug or something like that. And again, just because I haven't heard of Spring Boot doesn't mean there's not thousands of developers out there. I just haven't heard of it. Live for Tech says there are some platforms where users sell their business. If someone wants to sell their app as a business, how much should one ask for an app which has over 100,000 downloads? I have people ask me, so I get people ask me if I want to sell my business or if I want to sell my apps. And most of the time, it's not like somebody actually looking to buy it. It's not somebody who's evaluated either one and said, okay, I'm willing to sell this. It's usually someone like a broker. And then when you start asking prices, they'll say, well, how much do you want to sell it for? And then I'll say something like, I don't know, $1 million. Because Ear Agent generates what? I mean, 100 and something pounds a day. So like it depends on how long that goes on. Like if you're going to sell it, then you would think how much would that be worth doing? Would it be 3 years worth of revenue? Would it be would it be 10 years worth of revenue? But usually when I bring up those numbers, nobody really, that's the end of the conversation. And I also get these people calling me up saying, "Are you interested in selling your business?" And I remember one time saying, I was feeling a bit low. I said, "Yeah, sure, I'm willing to sell my business. I don't know why anybody would buy it," but I didn't say that to them. But I thought, "Yeah, sure, I'm willing to sell my business." And I said, "Okay, cool." And then later on, somebody calls me up and said, "Yes, I'm from the office. You say you want to sell your business. What kind of business is it?" They didn't know anything about the business. It was just a brokerage service. So it was like just this company that I guess they like real estate agents, or actually I don't know how real estate agents work, but I assume they just go around and they see, "Do you want to sell your business? Are you looking to buy a business? This guy's willing to sell," and then they can take a commission on it. I assume that's the way it works. But man, you know what? Sometimes I could just go off on tangents. Sorry about that. Let's see. True Dreams. Hey, long time now. Yeah. Hey, True Dreams. How's it going? My question: when to update your App Store descriptions? If it's not, I think you should in the beginning. If you're not ranking well, you should be updating it fairly frequently. I would say if you're trying to rank, if you're trying to rank for something, like let's say Paw Dates. Paw Dates was the application that we looked at earlier from Antonio. Let's say that he was going to do he would have to think, what are people going to be looking for to find this? They're going to be like pet owners. They're looking for friends for their dog, friends for their cat. So they're looking friends for their pets. So what kind of things would they be searching for, and how can I rank better for that keyword, and then or for that phrase or those words, whatever, so they can do well in search. And then at that point, think about how can I get those words into my title, into my description, preferably the first sentence of the description, into the keywords fields on the App Store. That one's easy, just put it in there. But so how do you do that? So if you're not ranking well for that, and if you're trying to rank well for that one description and you're not, then I would say try an alternative. Try something that's probably not as crowded. But yeah. Bart Raka says, "Hey Eric, you should devote some time on EarSpy app, especially on iOS, as there's lots of potential to grow it." I haven't done anything on iOS in a long time on that one. I think the last thing I did on iOS was the GDPR consent form. And I did like a couple weekends ago. I spent the entire Saturday working on EarSpy, Ear Agent on Android. And I almost had it at a point where I was ready to release it, and then I had to do something else, and then never got back to it. And I think the majority of the time I was trying to do was get it to compile the core libraries into 64-bit, and I was unsuccessful. So then I started just doing other like little features, and put some rewarded ads in there or something like that. And in the end, I never actually released it. But yeah, I really should. I mean, it's terrible considering how much revenue it brings in, that I'm just kind of like, oh, can't be bothered. But I do need to get back to that. Let's see. Hemant Kumar says, "What's your average daily earning?" It's like 110 at the moment. It's like so on AdMob, I've been putting. So if you follow Overpass apps on Instagram, I've tried to put like every day on the Instagram story. I'm trying to put my AdMob revenue. So I'm doing it like in the morning. I've been going to the gym every morning. So when I'm in the gym, I'll screenshot it and upload it to the Google Play story. Sorry, the Instagram story. So you can see that part of it, and that's a large part of it. And then other than that, it's usually around 110, 120 a day. Let's see. Mondu72, late again. Now, you know what? We were just asking about you, Mondu. Did you experience any problems with Android Build Tools version 29 this past week? I haven't been I haven't been building this week, but no, I haven't. Is anybody else? Let's see. Vinay says, how to promote paid Android apps. Now, if you just have a paid Android app, Vinay, it's going to be difficult. So here's what I think. I think that if you have a paid application and you don't have a free version, and you and you have like a target audience that you could put Facebook advertisements on, and you can specifically go through and interrupt people who are not searching for apps, then you might do okay. Like if you could get them on board, and it's something to try. Now, if you're doing search optimization and there are people who are specifically looking for what you're doing, then at that point, the paid version is going to count against you. So let's say an example is I'm going to say currency calculator. I always go to currency calculators because there used to be loads of them. Let's say I need if I need a currency calculator, I'll go onto Google Play, I'll go on the App Store, I'll type in currency calculator, and I'll see a whole bunch, and there'll be maybe one or two that are paid, and of course I'm going to ignore them because I know that I'm looking for a currency calculator, and I'm looking at a million currency calculators right now because they're all showing up in front of me. But let's say I'm going on holiday and I'm going to I'm on Facebook, and Facebook knows that I'm going on holiday. Facebook knows that I'm interested in travel, and then I see something saying, hey, when you go on holiday and you don't know the currency, it's never up to date, download this currency calculator for 99p or for $1.99, and then at that point you're basically going to somebody and who doesn't know that they need it. They're not, they know the benefit of it because they know that, oh yeah, you know what, I could use one of those. Oh, if it's only $2.99, good. They don't know that there's all these other ones out there that are not nearly as good, or maybe that are ranking better because they're not doing. You're basically interrupting them as opposed to search marketing them. So, and this is I was watching a video a few weeks ago where Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels was talking about the difference between interruption marketing and search marketing. And like for me, like I've always thought that interruption marketing is dead. Like we shouldn't be doing interruption marketing anymore. Like we just, nobody wants to be interrupted on stuff. We should all be doing search optimization and search marketing. But if you are searching for something, then you already know you need it, and you already know all the different alternatives. But if you interrupt somebody, then that's the first thing that they ever see, right? And you're putting it in front of people who aren't going out there and researching the whole market. It's very interesting to think about that kind of stuff. Steve Mamo, hey, how's it going, Steve? I think, did you send me an email already this week, or was it thinking of somebody else? Should people be concerned about clone apps? Yeah, I think you should. If you have an app that's doing really well, then there might be people out there who will try to clone it. I've got this all the time too. I mean, we do a search right now. This is always fun. I haven't done this in like a couple months, but like if I go into Google Play, right? So my app was called Ear Spy. Now it's called Ear Agent. If I type any of them in, Ear Agent, you can see there's mine, there's mine, there's not mine. There's a few others here which are kind of derivative. They came out since I've done mine, but they're at least they don't use the same icon and the same red and black with the white earphone. This thing I designed myself in. God, I can't remember the tool. It's been so. I think it was Paint Shop Pro. So you see that this is something that I have to go through every so often, and sometimes it'll still. It's not just the icon, that the icon design, which is something that bothers me. Sometimes they'll actually steal the screenshot. Sometimes they'll actually steal the description. So let's go to one at random here. Mixer Studio is like one of these ones that just do. So privacy notice. We do not collect or store information about this application. Once you download it, runs on you. It never runs on our servers. Notification on reviews if you remove an app. So here we go. Here's something that I came up with I thought was cute a few years ago. I came up with, please leave, if you try it, we know you hate leaving reviews because I hate leaving reviews. So if you could think of anything to say, just leave a review saying rad, or if you love it, say bogus if you hate it, or just say if you have no opinion. I love full and honest reviews, blah, 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 right? That is specifically from my description. So if I go into this guy here, at least it used to be in my description. I don't think I've done. Yeah, please review, try it, because I hate leaving reviews. Yeah, if you love it, leave rad. If you love it, say bogus. So this is somebody who's gone through and just shamelessly goes through and copies my description. Now, what I do normally is I'll go through and report them on Google Play, and they'll get removed. But they just keep popping up again. It's like whack-a-mole, right? So, but it is something to do to keep an eye on your intellectual property. This is something that this is my written with these poor little fingers, and somebody just goes through and copies it. And if you have any sort of success, somebody's going to go through and do that, and they're just going to be so stupid. It's so stupid that they wouldn't even change it. Sorry, I'm get all mad now. Let's see. Josh Adams says, do you know if it would be possible to use Apple and Android SDKs in Flutter, or would you have to use JS and settle for degraded performance? In Flutter uses Dart, right? So it doesn't use JavaScript. Is that what you mean? Let's see. Ravi Kumar Sharma says, let me show you a description here. So sometimes you guys, if you leave a comment, it will get blocked for some reason, and I just have to open it. Hi, could you please tell me which mic you are using for this live session? I'm also planning to start my YouTube channel now. Thanks. Ravi, not if you're going to be competition. No, I'm using a blue snowball microphone. I used to have a white blue snowball microphone. Now I have a blue. So I used to have a white one, and then it broke, but I really like it. But a lot of people use blue Yetis and stuff because they look like big proper recording microphones. When I do the daily videos, I'll usually use a lavalier mic, either a wired one if I'm in the office, and I have a cordless one when I'm outside, and sometimes I'll just use just a normal shotgun microphone with the dead cat on it. So that's kind of stuff that I do. So, but yeah, so right now it's a blue snowball microphone. Let's see. Carol VDW says, did you ever use an NPM package because you didn't? Did you ever not use an NPM package because you didn't trust it? I feel like people sometimes put too much trust in third-party code. I haven't. No, I've usually been very trusting about the NPM code. But you're right. There's no reason to be trusting of it. But I always think the nice thing about open source is that if somebody's doing something bad, at least it's not compiled. Like, I'm more suspicious of using a compiled library than I am using an open source one. Even though I might not go through and read all the code to say, let's make sure this is doing what it was. But I kind of think if I needed to, I could, and somebody would. Like, especially if it's a popular NPM one. A popular repository on GitHub. Rohan says, hey Eric, what encoder do you use for live streaming? So I use I'm using OBS, and I use OBS, and we were just going straight to YouTube, but now we go through to we're using Restream, so it goes to Facebook and Twitter at the same time. So I don't know if anybody's watching on Twitter or Facebook, but it's there. So we were trying to think how ways that we could do it. Just try to be a bit more smart about it. Vinay Sharma, thanks, you're welcome. Azima says, I'm experiencing it now, Mondu72, might just move to Android X. Okay, let's see. Ravi Kumar says, I have a desktop book manager software. I am planning to release a complimentary mobile app for it. Do you think Flutter would be a good choice? Okay, I'm going to try to open this up here and have a look for Ravi Kumar Sharma. I said that like I was a baseball announcer. For Ravi Kumar. Next up, center fielder, Ravi Kumar Sharma. Okay, so Smart Bookmarks Manager. Do you think Flutter? I think Flutter would, because I mean, it has a very fluid interface, and if you have something with the tiles on it, I think most frameworks would do well on this, actually. But I think they would. Yeah, I think you'd be fine with that, Ravi. Let's see. I know a lot of you guys might not be baseball fans, so you don't really get that reference. But let's see. Vikram Sentil says, hey, Eric, I released a new fitness app. Please go through this link to give your suggestions. Okay, so this is, we'll have a look at this one for Vikram. Okay. Exercise Timer Pro. All right, so we've got the two different screenshots here. Vikram, I would think that the icon is kind of like you show fitness and then you show like it's almost like really small, and I'm just wondering. I mean, the fitness exercise timers, there's so many of them. Like I wouldn't even know what to suggest what the icon should be, but I think it looks a bit small, and you're using a word in there, but I would think like a stopwatch or something maybe. And then again, the same kind of thing where you have the screenshots, one of them being presumably the splash screen. So you don't have to include all the screenshots of what it does, but if you could think about some stuff of what it does, like think about it. If you look at a Nike ad, they don't show shoes, right? Oh, they might, but mostly they show sport. So the emotion of sport, that's what they're all about. So you buy Nike stuff, it's sport. And you basically have something where you're talking about, the benefits of an exercise timer would be to make sure you exercise more efficiently, so you get more fit, so you get more in shape, so if you're going to put the time into it, you might as well do it right, and you're showing basically what it does. So if I was going to do, let's just do a search on exercise timer. And we can see lots of stopwatch. Obviously, what I suggested is not a very original idea, but you see all of these here. Let's go with interval timer. Again, they just show the screenshot. The first one, exercise timer, Neuron Digital. Here we go. Look at this. So he's got the doctor screenshots. He's got the text above it saying what they do. Enable dark theme. So here we go. So, okay, perfect. Look at this. Look at this screenshot here. So we've got the timer in the foreground. We got listen to playouts of your workout. We've got somebody in the background actually working out. We've got different types of backgrounds here using stock images. I'm sure they didn't go out and film themselves, but it gives that sense of motion to it. So the rest of you guys, what do you think about that? But again, I say this every week, but if nobody's getting to that page that actually shows it to the Exercise Timer Pro, then if nobody's actually getting to this page, then the screenshots are not the problem. It's the ASO and it's the search optimization for that. So Shivam Chaudhry says, back to this, is your whole income generated from the Overpass developer account apps, or do you have other developer account? I just have the one developer account. I have the iPhone one and the Apple one. And a lot of the other stuff. I mean, it's not all my income, but it's because I would do client work too. Just followed you on Instagram. Love to see you are a fitness enthusiast. Yeah, don't follow me my personal one. Look at the Overpass one. My personal one is it's all the biceps and the massive lifting, bro. No, I'm not. But I the only time I ever think to do Instagram is when I'm in the gym, because I think that's like all the Instagram I ever see is in the gym. So that's but I think I have like 2 or 3 gym photos in there, and I just I keep thinking I need to stop doing that because that's so cliche. Steve Mamo says, can you report clones for copying a concept, or does it have to be something that can be easily seen as a direct copy paste? I'm worried about my first app. So Steve, the first time I reported the copycats, I think it was rejected, right? And they're very strict about it, like the language of the thing saying, if it's going to count against you if you're reporting things and they're not actually doing it. So what we did was we created a Google Docs with actual side by side pointing to it, saying, look at this. This is ours. This is theirs. The actual copy paste, that is a blatant copyright violation. That is, and even the icons that look the same with the same look and feel and stuff like that, that could be a bit more on the gray side. But I have had apps that use my exact icon before. But it also is, for me, I'm trying to think, if it's something that's similar, I let it go, right? If it's something like I had an idea and it was a good idea, and then somebody saw my idea and copied it, then that's that's free market. They can make it better, right? It's like, if they make it better than mine, then I gotta make mine better than theirs, and that's it's the one-upmanship of it. But if they are trying to use my marketing and they're trying to pretend to be affiliated with my applications in some way, then that is different. That is that's not right. So that's the kind of stuff that I'll report it. So and I've actually had clients, well, not clients, prospects, say, they come in and they'll say, I've got this idea, nobody's using it, I've done it everywhere, and they'll tell me the idea, and then I'll type into Google Play, and I'll find it like within a minute, like say, oh, you like this one? I remember once showing it to somebody, and it says, I think someone stole my idea. Hey, who is it? Can you tell who it is? I think, I was telling somebody like a couple months ago about this. I wonder if they stole my idea. And he generally thought that someone had stole his idea. But people all have similar ideas, right? I talk about it all the time. Just say Uber for, Uber for dog sitters, Uber for babysitters, Uber for, you're gonna come up to something where somebody said, hey man, that was my idea. But if they didn't do anything with it, then that's right. So I do think it's possible that other people could have the same idea as me, or they can have be influenced by mine. But if they're trying to copy the look and feel and trying to steal my audience by pretending to be my app, then that is too far. So, but you could go down the patent route if you wanted to spend the time. I've never done a patent. I've had relatives do patents on physical goods, and I know it took them years to get patents. So I have lots of people, clients will call me up and ask me about patents, and I said, look, I'm not a legal person, right? For me, it's get it out there onto the App Store, get it out there before anybody else, try to get some first mover advantage on it if you can, otherwise make it better than others. So let's see. Live for Tech says, where do those 4K HD wallpaper apps get their wallpapers? Some have very similar wallpapers. What do you have to say? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I wonder if they use something like Unsplash, or is there something like is it copyright violations? Or it's a really good question. I have no idea, right? Because I know it's not the developer always doing the same ones. Yeah, I'm curious about that too now, actually. Josh Adams, I know it uses Dart. Oh, so I know it uses Dart. We're talking about the JavaScript thing. I'm referring to the fact that one's code base, it's one code base, and I need to integrate two different third-party SDKs. Oh, I see what you mean. iOS and Android, and don't know if it would be possible. I don't know. I think you would. Good question. I think it depends on what you want to do. Like if you will do something like, let's say you're integrating with Bluetooth, and I think you would have to go native at some point. Or if you're going to do something like fingerprint scanner or something, I think there's plugins for those. I think I've checked, but I think you would have to go through and do that. If you look at a plugin, they do have the source code for both versions, I think. So, and I don't know if you could do a plugin in JavaScript. I'm not even sure about that one, Josh. Sorry about that. And Wi-Fi Blocker says Xamarin does as well. Oh, Xamarin does as well. Xamarin does as well. All native APIs exposed on Android, iOS. Cool. Let's see. Josh says, I'm not a sec. I've just hired a developer. Okay. Just hired a developer for 3 projects on Upwork. My app is a weather app, and I need to use SDKs for my source. Aries weather, maybe one completely different on Flutter. Yeah, I mean, if the weather SDK, if they have an Android and an iPhone version, then it might just be writing the wrapper around it, because and then just feeding into that. Because yeah, I mean, that's the way I would do it. Like if I was going to do an AdMob, if I was going to put AdMob in, and AdMob, there wasn't an AdMob plugin, then I would say I would download the libraries for Android, I would download libraries for iOS, and then I would write the wrapper that goes around it with a consistent interface between the two of them, so that you could just call that one interface and then have it go both ways. Let's see. Wi-Fi Blocker says you need to trademark your cool ear agent icons, then you might have a good call to get icon clones gone. Yeah, I know. I suppose so. And then final question of today is Christopher Nugo says, Eric, what's a good conversion rate for iOS apps? Mine floats between 16% to 22% today currently. I don't know. Good question. You know what? It bothers me how often I say I don't know on these live streams. all right, so this is the last question. I'm gonna have a look at my iOS App Store page here. I'm just gonna show it here in a minute. I've got loads of client stuff on here, which I need to hide first. So I'll show you what my conversion rate is through the stats page. Oh, so I went the wrong page. So, nope, App Analytics. Oh, App Analytics. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen now. All right. So if I go to my App Analytics, oh my gosh, it's so slow now. This is a, okay, and then look at this guy. So impressions, conversion, my conversion rate is 5.79. So it looks like you're doing pretty well there, Christopher. So yeah, you're doing better than I am. Maybe I'm not the right one to be asking. So the rest of you guys, let Christopher know if you know. So hey, everybody, thanks very much for showing up to the live stream today. I really appreciate it. Sorry about all the technical problems last week. And I do not know if we're going to get a video done for tomorrow. This might be a day that I missed. And I know it seems like since I've gone from doing the daily videos to doing it twice a week, it's like almost gotten more difficult. Like I'm trying to think of something that's good enough. I think the last couple of videos were stuff that I would have talked about on the daily video, but I feel like because I'm doing it twice a week, I need to have like some big special topic, and then I got to find the time to go, film it, and I don't know whether or not we'll get it done tomorrow. But so yeah, I hope you guys will let me slide if I miss a day, and we'll get, I'll get back into the habit, get back into the swing of things, get my mojo back here soon. So anyway, thanks everybody for showing up to the live stream. Thanks for coming to the live stream. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for everything, and that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys again on the live stream next week and on the next Overpass Insights. Have a good weekend.
Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about. Threw my virtues to the